and that is this Sean Hannity feud. Now, I know Jimmy Kimmel. I've hung out with him a few times. We are both involved in a complex prank called the Perry Project, and it's been going on for decades, where we torment this man named Perry Caravello. Jimmy Kimmel will always have a place in my heart because he funded the movie Windy City Heat, which is self-explanatory if you go to YouTube right now and watch it for free. And at the beginning of the movie, just watch the first minute, and it explains the history of the Perry Project very well. It's very well edited. It was a complete catastrophe, though. It made him $0, which I also really admire. You know, the guys who did South Park made nothing on Team America World Police, but they thought it was a good project, so they forgoed their director's fees and made it. Something like, there's something noble about that. You know what I mean? When people do stuff like that, they make art for a loss, even though they could be making millions elsewhere. That's you're sort of special now. Now, Kimmel, in the past year or two, he's really gone off the deep end with the lefty stuff. I mean, he used to be funny, he used to be outrageous, he used to be much braver, and now it's crying about healthcare and bitching about Trump. And so he had this back and forth with Sean Hannity, as you likely know. Now, what I thought was interesting about it is Hannity did a weird move in it. He said, I'm going to talk to your boss, and you're going to come groveling to me. So just keep doing what you're doing, buddy. That's a ballsy move, isn't it? Like, if I would never say that unless I knew the mob and they had done other jobs for me in the past and whacked people successfully. Then I might say, you just made a big mistake. And then, you know, I know danger is going to happen. But you really sort of, you put all your cards on the table when you say, go talk to your boss. Let's see you come crawling back to me crying. And it worked. So Hannity won. Sorry. But let's look at some of these. I like the back and forth on Twitter more than anything. But keep going down. So more of Disney's Jimmy Kimmel being Harvey Weinstein Jr. So he goes to a Man Show episode. That was Jimmy Kimmel's old show. And Jimmy Kimmel would have women touch his crotch and stuff. It was a comedy bit. It was quite funny, actually. But the smart thing that Hannity's doing here is he knows Disney is very sensitive about this. They consider themselves a family brand. So what Hannity's saying is, you work for a big corporation that is very concerned with how you talk, and they're very worried that everything you do supports the family. So you can't come at me, dude. You're someone else's bitch, and all I have to do is point that out, and you will come groveling home. And now, I don't think that's good. I don't like the fact that Jimmy Kimmel can't say certain things, but it's like being a prisoner in a really good way. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go to a corrections officer and flick him in the back of the head. You're in prison. You are being monitored. You're not allowed to do that. So when Kimmel started yapping at Hannity, he went, I'm going to call your boss, and he did. Is it a violation of free speech? That's a great question. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel is being told he can't say certain things, but it's not illegal for him to say certain things. He just can't say certain things at work. But Gavin, you always talk about how the mob is more important than the law, and we shouldn't have this world where you can't make jokes, especially jokes about Melania Trump. Yeah, this was a violation of Kimmel's free speech. I still think Hannity won, and I don't feel that bad about it. Because Kimmel picked the fight. Kimmel picked a fight and said, I can do whatever I want, and he should be able to do whatever he wants. But he can't do whatever he wants, and Hannity called him on it. That's my contention. But what does he have? Jimmy Kimmel responds to him pointing out that Man Show thing and says it was a joke. Oh, and then he gets weird. He says, you're calling me a pervert, which he did. And then he said, you're the one slobbering over Trump, Ailes, O'Reilly, and yes, Roy Moore. Trump, where does this thing with Trump being a sexual assault guy come in? He said, they let you grab the pussy. They let you. Roger Ailes, yes, he did molest women. Sorry. Roy Moore dated very young girls. That's perverted. And O'Reilly was left dirty phone messages on women that I believe he was already fornicating. I don't think O'Reilly really counts. But so then Hannity comes back and says he's going to be, talks about all the terrible stuff he's done over the years. And then Kimmel, he calls him Weinstein Jr. And then Kimmel says, no, Kimmel says, you're the pervert. Keep going down. Sorry, I'm sort of fumbling this, aren't I? Oh, yeah, and then he says, attacking the First Lady of the United States, attacking her accent. And then Kimmel does something super low. He says to Hannity, and liberals always do this, by the way. I call it the daughter effect. He goes, how would you feel about your daughter being grabbed by the pussy? This has happened to me a million times, by the way. They feel like they're losing, and they go, yeah, what about your daughter? And what does that do? Well, it makes you irrational. If you want me to make laws based on how I want my daughter's life to be, you're going to be living in a fascist dictatorship that will make Venezuela look like the Garden of Eden. I'm going to have no men are allowed to do anything. Women are locked in boxes. They're trying to make you irrational. And you know your views suck when someone has to be irrational to agree with you. So it kept going back and forth. And does this end with the apology? Oh, yeah. No, go up a bit. I like that. So go down, sorry. Do-do-do-be-do. Oh, yeah, then he has a good diss. He says, Hannity says, you're last in the ratings. And then Kimmel points out, no, Maddow is ahead of you. She's kicking your ass in ratings. That's true, by the way. Isn't that amazing? Rachel Maddow has just over 3 million viewers, and Hannity has about 3 million viewers, right on the nose. She has got maybe 50,000 more than him. Is that just, who's watching Rachel Maddow? Am I crazy? I get Sean Hannity. You watch Sean Hannity. The guy's been doing it since he was a teenager. He's amazing at his job, and he knows everything about the law, really well-versed in history. He knows all these different politicians whose names I constantly space out on, but he can always pull them up really quick. But Rachel Maddow? She's made so many mistakes, so many lies about the Koch brothers. Remember that one? Some pharmaceutical thing or Florida? Anyway. But let's look at his apology. Have you got that? I'm not sure it's at the bottom of that one. While I admit I did have fun with our back and forth, after some thought, I realized that the level of vitriol from all sides, mine and me included, does nothing good for anyone and is in fact harmful to our country. Now, you see, you can't go 180 like that and pretend that you've just sort of had a revelation. I know I was talking, and he was talking about Hannity being erect for Donald Trump and all kinds of sexual gay references that started a backlash in the LGBT community because they go, Jim, gay isn't an insult. So you saying you probably slobber all over his genitalia, that's what I do for a living. I'm gay. So don't make that an insult. And by the way, that is kind of a dumb insult, the term cocksucker, because it's said by so many guys who want nothing more than that from their significant other. So Disney definitely went to him after Hannity brought it up and made him apologize. By the way, folks at home, I cannot make this clear enough. Don't put 2 spaces after a period. It makes you look like a teenager. It's something we did in high school back in typewriter days, 2 space bars, because you want to differentiate the sentence and make it clear at the beginning of the sentence. Computers do this naturally, so you no longer need to do the double tap that you had to do on an electric typewriter in college. It makes it look like you don't write very often, and that's not a good look. Even in 2018, the vile attacks against my wife and wishes for death on my infant son are shocking, and I encourage those who made them to give their words and action thought. I, too, will give my words more thought and recognize my role in inciting their hatefulness. The difference, by the way, those death threats and stuff are from 14-year-olds. You were saying outrageous things as an adult with a show, with a major platform, to Sean Hannity, and saying it on your show. By lampooning Sean Hannity's deference to the president, the Muslim did not intend to belittle or upset members of the gay community, and to those who took offense, I apologize. That's a common apology trick. You say, if you were offended, or to those who were offended, I apologize, but you're not really apologizing. I will take Sean Hannity's word that he was genuinely offended by what I believe, blah, blah, blah. See, all of this, the actual content is irrelevant, and newly found doesn't have a hyphen, by the way. Microsoft Word tried to tell you that, and you ignored it. But the content is irrelevant. What's relevant here is Hannity said, I'm going to make you grovel to me like a little bitch, and that's exactly what happened. Should it happen? No. You should be allowed to make disgusting insults. There should be no rules of censorship. Your boss shouldn't be telling you what jokes you can and can't say, who you can and can't lampoon. I am an anarchist. However, this is the reality of the situation. He's working for a huge family corporation. He picked a fight, and Hannity slapped him down like a bitch. And we're still sort of seeing the effects. It's before this apology letter, he got a massive boycott started. Boycott Kimmel. What is that, 150,000 signatures? You know what I mean? Like, I want you to be able to say whatever you want, but there's certain glass houses you can't throw stones from. Should you be able to throw stones? Yes. But what are you doing? It goes back to what we were talking about the other day with Kathy Griffin and the Trump head freaking out that it affected her career. You did a punk rock thing. You picked a fight. If you go around acting like Sid Vicious, you're going to end up with a dead girlfriend at the Chelsea Hotel.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.